Welcome, children of the night, to another edition of the Cradle of Filth discography review. And this time we will be reviewing Cruelty and the Beast, their first fully realized concept album, an album in which Danny in the past has said it's the one in which he is most proud of. It tells the story of the Blood Countess Elizabeth Bathory, who, according to legend, killed young virgins and bathed in their blood because she believed that bathing and drinking their blood would keep her forever young and beautiful. She became obsessed with it. She murdered an unknown number of young girls, young virgins, bathed in their blood, drank their blood, got sexual pleasure from murdering them and torturing them. A perfect subject matter for a Cradle of Filth album. And at this point in their career, they were riding that wave of success, and this is one of the albums that once again it really garnered them much more popularity. They at this point they were gaining full speed ahead, quickly becoming a force to be reckoned with in the UK metal scene and around the world. Lost my place here. Anyway, though, like I said, fully realized concept album. The only lineup change that was made here was Damian Grigori is gone, and now they have Les Smith, or Lecter as they like to call him, on the keyboards. What you'll immediately notice about this album is that the production is more raw, something that many fans complain of. It has a more thin production. The drums at times sound almost thin and hollow, as if they're barely there. One reviewer commented that they were typewriter drums, in which that's one of the only things of the album that both adds to the experience and at times detracts from the experience. But for me, it doesn't bother me at all. I like the production. I think it adds that little bit of rawness, it adds a little bit more atmosphere to have the production more muddled, more rough, more underproduced. And the tale of Elizabeth Bathory, this is some of Danny's finest lyric writing, perhaps the album in which he wrote the best lyrics of his career. The album in which Stewart and Guyan were able to really tear shit up. They were really able to bring the magic to the table. Nick Barker, once again, is able to blow your mind with his epic precision of how he plays the drums. Robin on the bass is also able to thump out once again the nocturnal pulse in fat, juicy, thumping melodies. The keyboards again are able to accentuate and add their presence and craft and add to the atmosphere of it. This is one of their most gothic sounding albums. It's pure gothic. The black metal influences are there a little bit, but not as pronounced as Dusk and Vampire, so it's more of a gothic extreme metal right here. This is the album where the Dusk in Her Embrace was originally written by the original lineup, but this one was written by the core lineup: Guyan, Stewart, Robin, Nick. Fucking mammoth beast of an album. Their guitars are so they really excel again with these twin guitar melodies, with the riffs they are able to craft that just draw your attention, that just gets you headbanging along with it, that just immerse you in this guitar driven, keyboard accentuated, female vocals added at just the right points. Starting off with one of probably their second best opening keyboard instrumental, then right into 13 Autumns and a Widow, which tells the beginning story. It's the beginnings. It summarizes what you're about to get into with Bathory. It sees her transformation from a young child in church and raised in this puritanical society, and her devolution into the dark side and sorcery. And then next you get into Cruelty Brought the Orchids, which once again would be in my top 10 favorite Cradle of Filth tracks. Some of the best lyricism. It details her descent into madness and beginning to obsess over her youthful beauty and beginning to obsess over the murdering of virgins. And when she bathes and drinks in their blood, she begins to notice that her pallor and her face is gleaming with youthful vigor. I really don't need to speak much about the musicality. It's classic Cradle. If you don't know what that means, you'll just have to go and listen to it. Gothic, extreme metal, ferocious riffing, mixed with twin melodies, keyboard on top, nocturnal pulsing in the background. Then onward, from Cruelty Brought the Orchids, it's Beneath the Howling Stars, and again would be in my top 10 Cradle of Filth songs, telling a morbid tale of how she seduced the Black Count into loving her at this ball where she wore blood actually painted as lipstick on her lips, and how that midwinter wrongs the rites of spring, her spinal chill rakes the earth, whilst pensive souls at zero sing woe betidings of rebirth. Under cold stares of Mars maligned, near suicides cross their hearts. As unborns writhe in tepid brine, something wicked this way starts. Beneath the howling stars. I'm not even going to attempt that. Anyway, though, like I said, another one of my most played Cradle of Filth tracks. And from there, we get into Venus in Fear, which is an instrumental detailing a keyboard background noise accentuated with the moans of pleasure and also the screams of terror. The moans of pleasure of Bathory engaging in murder and sexual perversions with these young virgins, as well as the screams of the young virgins who are being tortured. And then next upon it is their most ferocious song on this album, Desire, in Violent Overture. My God, what a ferocious beast of a track this is, with searing guitars, just searing tremoloed and mammoth riffs, wonderful vocals by Danny. It tells her on a killing spree, on a violent, desirous, sexually explicit killing spree. It talks about hacking out cunts of virgins. It talks about her carving her seal in their flesh. And then upon the end of this track comes the Twisted Nails of Faith, where she's resting from all her killing sprees in the castle bowers. Apparently there's a witch with her, and she begins masturbating with her dagger to sacrifice to a demon. Yes, this is some morbid shit. 3 moondials froze in the shadow of 6 begins this song, and it keeps on, like I said, classic, 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 onward past this song into Bathory Aria, which once again is a 10-minute long epicosity of epicosities, which is in 3 parts: Benighted like Usher, A Murder of Ravens in Fugue, and The Eyes That Witnessed Madness, in which it details her descent, it details her downfall. It serves as sort of a reflection on all the events that have transpired, and it's a beautiful summation of all that has happened. And at the very end, it tells the story of how, while because of her noble birth, she was able to escape getting burnt at the stake or burnt on a funeral pyre, but yet she was locked away for life, where she would rot and go insane. And at the very end, there is a narration by Ingrid Pitt, who played Bathory in Countess Dracula, or rather a character that was based on Elizabeth Bathory, and she narrates the ending, and she does such a great job of doing it. And then upon the next track is Portrait of the Dead Countess, which is a funeral dirge. And finally, track number 10 closes out the story, Lustmord and Wargasm, the Lick of Carnivorous Winds. A ferocious track which entails, from my point of view, it's either Dani's love for Bathory, or it's a song of her count finding out the news of her death and mourning for it. So, and upon that, there's a bonus version which has Hallowed Be Thy Name, one of the best covers of any song ever done. Cradle of Filth's own version of the Iron Maiden classic. Also, on the bonus version is a sequel or a redone version of Lustmord and Wargasm, and a cover of the Venom song Black Metal. And so, as we end this album review, I would give this album 100%. I would call this album their masterwork, their masterpiece, my favorite, their greatest in the pantheon of their greatest albums, their creative peak, their creative mountaintop, so to speak. An album that would cement their place as one of the greatest metal bands to come out of the UK, that would garner them much respect in the years to come. An album that longtime Cradle of Filth long to hear something else like it. 100 out of 100. Gothic black metal infused with just awesomeness. Great story, great music. Cruelty and the Beast. 100% absolute classic of peace, motherfuckers.